I designed this build to be the fastest druid speed farming build possible. We're utilizing Cataclysm, but without all the shenanigans like overpowering. That means there's absolutely no setup, no wait times, and you can speed farm like a dream in any Torment 4 content, while shredding and teleporting through enemies. I also set this build up without any mythic uniques, and optimized it specifically for the two best ways to farm Chaos Armor, which is Nightmare Dungeons and Infernal Hordes. Before I get into the details, if you enjoy my content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me at twitch.tv/screamheart. Now let me break the build down for you. First off, I should point out that all of the gameplay at the beginning of the video was with terrible gear that only has 1 GA each, and all the masterworks are in bad spots. So here I'll go ahead and go through so you can see what I have. And don't worry, I'm going to go through these in more detail here in a bit. I actually have one 2 GA item, but it's not even on the optimal GA, so unfortunate. So this build is revolving around Cataclysm, and you can see here that we have 14 ranks into Cataclysm, and that's much more than you normally get into an ultimate. That's going to help with the cooldown on it, but it also increases the power, which is really good because that's what we're using for the AoE clear. We're pairing that with Mjolnir Ring, so we never have to worry about Spirit, and that's important because we're using the Chaos perk, Purge the Infected, which is guaranteeing critical hits and increasing our damage. Also, by keeping our Spirit maxed, we're able to more easily gain all of our bonuses from Overabundance, so the synergies are really nice. And since I've already covered half of these, I may as well continue. So you'll see that our health is at half, and that's because we're using a Beast Cornered, and this is increasing our damage based off the amount of health we're missing. And then we've got Marred Guard here, which is keeping our health at half. So that means we're getting 100% more damage from our Beast Cornered. But with the Marred Guard, we're also getting increased maximum resistances, increased armor, increased barrier amount, and fortified generation. Now the reason that's nice is because we're running Earthen Bulwark, and we're getting this when we use mobility skills, aka our Shred, which we're using to dash around to enemies. So we're constantly getting Earthen Bulwarks, which you can see we don't even have to have it on our bar. And that means that our whole health bar is going to be full barrier, and it's pretty much constantly. So normally this amount of HP would not be very good, but we have insane extra damage reduction from a Beast Cornered, even more damage reduction from Marred Guard, more barrier, and that's basically doubling our health pool. Although in this case, since we're cutting it in half first, we're actually tripling our HP because the barrier can be for our full health bar, and we still get the bonuses for having low health. Now for our items, you will see here that I have a lot of different Chaos Armor pieces, but don't stress too much about this because there are a ton of different replacements that you could put in that would be either equal or reasonable enough that they could easily replace them. Not only that, but you can move these around wherever you need them, which makes it really easy to find the ones you need. So I'm running Fists of Face on the helmet. Some other nice options here are Air of Perdition if you get it. Harlequin's Crest is really nice if you get it, and that's going to help you with your cooldown for your ult and also give you skill ranks for it, so it's more damage and damage reduction. You could go with a default Tempest Roar and just move your Tempest Roar from a different slot, or you could even go with a legendary and just run something defensive there. For the chest piece, I'm recommending Mad Wolf's Glee, but obviously if you have Shroud of False Death, that's going to be better here. But we are getting 7 ranks when we're using Tempest Roar to our ultimate, so it's actually extremely powerful. Not only that, but we are using the Lupine Ferocity passive, so we're getting that bonus as well. If you don't have either of those, again, you can run a legendary or any of the Chaos Armor pieces that you get in this slot. For the gloves, I'm running Mjolnir Ring. Like I talked about before, it's giving us unlimited spirit, but it's also giving us 48% more damage. But you can use Mjolnir Ring in one of the ring slots with the normal version if you wanted to, and then you just have to shift your stuff around. Or it would open up a spot for another offensive aspect, which is also an option. Just as an example, you could use Conceited here, because we're going to have constant barriers, which means that'll work all the time. For the pants, I'm running Tempest Roar, and that's just to turn our ultimate into a werewolf ability. That allows us to get the bonuses from Mad Wolf's Glee, but it also gives us the bonuses from Malefic Crescent, which is the next item. This one gives us a huge additional amount to our multiplier for our Keystone passive, and it's also giving us ranks to Feral Aptitude, which is really nice. By the way, like I said, my masterworks are terrible here. I basically just upgraded everything and left it as it was. So for this item, for example, you'd want all the bonuses into Feral Aptitude. But so you can see all the correct tempering and masterwork bonuses, make sure you click on the link under the video and go to my Mobalytics page. And there I've got my guide with all the detailed information and the best recommended stuff. I also update that, so keep an eye out. For the weapon, we're running Runeworker's Conduit, and you can change these around however you want. But I like Runeworker's Conduit here because it's more reliable damage, whereas Apogeic Furor is technically a higher multiplier when you have all of the stacks. But if you don't have all the stacks, then you end up with a better damage on Runeworker's Conduit. So just for consistency purposes, I go for Runeworker's Conduit as the one on my two-hander, but you have options. Also, one of the most important things in the build, make sure you get the Temper for chance for Cataclysm to deal double damage, and masterwork the crap out of it so it gets 100%. On the Amulet, we're going for the Apogeic Furor, like I said. For Ring 1, we're doing Eridas, and this is just going to make enemies get pulled towards us when we use our ultimate, and it also does some damage, which is kind of nice. but this is giving us ultimate cooldown reduction, which is pretty important. Although you could skip on this completely if you did run the Harlequin crest, so go with whichever one you want. Our second ring, we're going with Vehement Brawlers, and this is nice because it's giving us 2 skill ranks and it's giving us 30% more damage for all of our damage. For the Spirit Boons, we're going with Gift of the Stag. This is giving us Spirit Regeneration, which helps us fill our Spirit for the overabundance. But the main thing it's for is the Maximum Spirit, which plays into the damage of our ultimate. If you don't know already, Maximum Spirit increases our ultimate damage through the Ancestral Guidance Paragon node. For our next Spirit Boon, we're doing Avian Wrath, and this is just more damage. Then we're doing Energize to make sure we've got our overabundance filled. We're running Calamity to extend the duration of our Cataclysm. Although if you have enough cooldown reduction, you could drop this and go for something like Maximum Life. Or you could get more lightning bolts from Overload. And then finally, we've got Masochistic, which is going to give us healing while we use our Shred. But because we're turning our Cataclysm into a werewolf skill, it also has a chance to proc this as well. For my Elixir and Incense, I like to run Elixir of Fortitude for the max life, Red Amine Buzz for more max life, Soothing Spices for the all resist and armor, and Spiral Mourning for the all stats, although if you're running a Shroud of False Death, swap this out for the Willpower. For the skills, you can drop your first 2 points in anything, but I put them into Maul. We're going 3 points into Shred just so we can get the dash. We're putting a couple points in Earthen Bulwark and going up to Preserving Earthen Bulwark. This is going to help us keep our Fortify up, but it's also going to keep us unstoppable all the time. And with 3 points in, it's 54% of our maximum life. And because we're doubling that amount with our Chaos perks, that means we're actually getting 100% each time we use this. We're running Cyclone Armor and Preserving to pull enemies in. It also reduces their damage, which is kind of nice. We're maxing out all of our passes across here. We're getting Blood Howl, and we're doing the Innate Blood Howl. This is technically 25% more damage, as long as we're in werewolf form, which you should be in most of the time because you're going to be shredding around anyways. So you want to use this right before you're about to continue shredding for a few seconds. And then if you cast any other skills that are not werewolf, it's going to break it, and then you can recast it afterwards. It's a little bit tedious, don't stress it too much. This is just extra optional damage. With our Debilitating Roar, we're getting more damage whenever we cast it. We're getting more damage from Nature's Reach and Feral Aptitude. A bunch more damage from Charged Atmosphere because our Mjolnir Ring is also making our Cataclysm into a Lightning Bolt scaling ability. And then Endless Tempest to extend the duration of both Hurricane and Cataclysm. And you can see we're getting more ranks of this from Mjolnir. And then I went 3 points into Bad Omen because we're already scaling the Lightning Bolts, so we may as well get more of them. For Hurricane, we're going up to Savage Hurricane to reduce enemy damage. Maxing out in Venom, Defiance, Resonance, Catastrophe, and Quick Shift for more damage. Maxing out Cataclysm and both additional points. And then our Keystone passive is Lupine Ferocity, and this is very important because we're using that item that gives us the extra on this bonus. And you can see it's 337%. Pretty crazy. And that would actually be higher if I had a better roll on my Lupine Ferocity's damage bonus here. So for example, if I got the GA here and triple masterworked it, we're looking at a much higher number. At least double. For our Paragon boards, we're starting with the Headhunter Glyph on our first board, moving up, and we're going to be grabbing the Ancestral Guidance board, and here we're running the Electrocution Glyph to get as much power early as possible. Although if you wanted to even earlier, you could drop it on this board and then swap it out later. Moving to the right, we're grabbing the Heightened Malice board, and here we're doing the Spirit Glyph. We're moving down from there, we're adding the Fang and Claw Glyph onto the Thunderstruck board, then we're moving to the right, and for our final board, we're doing Sinister Tendrils, and here we're doing Earth and Sky. For the Mercenaries, I like to run Rahir, and I go for the resistance as well as the damage. And then for the reinforcement, I have Varyana, and this is just giving us some attack speed. But you could totally swap her out for Aldkin and go for some damage reduction. Or since this is a farming build, if you really wanted to, you could go with Subo instead of Rahir. And that would allow you to see enemies on the minimap, as well as all of the ore and stuff. This build is quite good for farming, especially the ones I specifically mentioned, which is Infernal Hordes and the Nightmare Dungeons. But I did not design this to push in the pits. I didn't even design it to level its own glyphs. So if you're looking for a leveling build specifically, this is not the one I recommend. Although with my Poison Storm leveling build, this is one of the options that you can lean into. However, if you want an easy time leveling your glyphs first, then you probably want to change over to something like Pulverize, Shred, Ravens, take your pick. I've got a bunch of builds in my guides underneath the video, and you can use basically any of them to get the job done. This is the only build I'm designing that is not intended to level its own glyphs. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Daddy Druid out.
Subscribe to Scream Heart. He's more than an old fart. He makes lots of fun builds. I promise his streams chill. He should probably be faster. Come watch this disaster.